This is Rowena Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty. Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty.
Hey there, greetings. Welcome back to Soul Voices. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and I've got my ear monitors. I'm hearing myself. Hold on. Okay, that's better. Okay, it's good to be back. It's Saturday. Today is August the 3rd. We're in a new month. Really appreciate you guys being here with us today. On the I said Soul Citizens, didn't I? Soul Voices. I'm sorry, my brain is somewhere else right now. But anyway, thank you guys for being here today with me. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about this week. Hopefully you guys have had a great week, and hopefully you're ready to kind of jump into everything because, yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. This is Soul Voices, our show that's one-on-one where you get to come in, share your thoughts with me on the topics that I picked that come from Spectrum, Reddit, and also from the gaming industry or from CIG itself, or sometimes things I just think up. But today we've got something from Spectrum, something from Reddit, and something from CIG. So get ready. Hope you're ready. Get yourself something to drink, some snacks. We're going to have a little bit of conversation for the next hour, maybe 2 hours. Hopefully not 2 hours, but we're going to have a good conversation. Title for this week is Sneaky Peek. We got some things shown to us this week. Some stuff was stuff we knew that was coming, and then there's some things that maybe we didn't know were coming. And I want to kick off this week, jump in, not waste any time, talking about one of the first things that we have here, which is the Ship Showdown. This is an annual event that takes place, for those of you who may be new to Star Citizen, where basically we basically kind of pick the top ships that the fans are, I guess, what are favoring for that particular period of time. Sometimes people feel that the voting process goes well. Some people feel sometimes it's a little slanted. Sometimes people feel it's won by memes. No matter what you think, each year we do this, and this year CIG actually made some changes to the process of how we will be voting for ships in the Ship Showdown. And so we're going to go over that a little bit to see what the changes are. And of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether you think these changes are good, bad, doesn't make a difference. Whatever's going to win is going to win. We're going to give you guys a chance to come in and talk with me about that. So let's take a look at this here. This is from JakeAcappella, who works at CIG, who is letting us know to make some noise for your favorite pilotable vehicles, in the verse, as that's what they need to make it to Phase 2, a tournament bracket for the top 16, chosen by you. How do they make it there? Create an original artistic creation and upload it to the community hub and Twitter with the hashtags Ship Showdown at Ship Showdown, not at Ship Showdown. What's that thing called? Ampersand. Is that ampersand? No, ship at. Yeah, at. That at. What is that called? What's this? What's the? I forget what that. It's called hashtag. Thank you. Hashtag Ship Showdown and hashtag Star Citizen. Note, if submitting your creation on social media, the following image template must be embedded in your image or in video, a place where the text is legible, and it'll give you a link for where that needs to go. The 10 most outstanding original creations will be awarded with a standalone Crusader C1 Spirit, including lifetime insurance. That's not such a bad deal. The sky's the limit. Any sort of creation will be considered. Film an epic machinima, flex your painting skills, build a model out of paper mache, write a jingle for your ship's commercial. It's completely up to you. In addition to your contest entries, we'll be looking at total flight and drive time of vehicles in the verse. That they take to the skies or roads to help it tip the odds. It could be the difference in a close race. Let's see. Also, newly added this year, your chosen vehicle is the verse will enter the top 16 in a bracket that matches their role and style. Which I think is actually going to be pretty interesting. You've got a heavy duty division, such as industrial, speed demons division, which is racing, run and gun division, which is combat, pathfinder division, which is exploration, freighter division, which is transport, alien division, alien vehicles, road warrior division, ground vehicles, and underdog division, the little guys. For all the details on Ship Showdown, including the full contest rules and the submission so far, head over to the Ship Showdown page and submit your creations. Act fast. You only have until August 13th, 2024 at 1 p.m. Pacific time, before and 8 p.m. UTC, before phase 1 ends. May the best vehicles win. Okay, so yeah, let's jump in and talk about this. I don't know how many of you guys participate in the Ship Showdown each year. I participated. I always try to get in and cast my votes for different ships. Sometimes I base them on ships that I like. There have been times when I have voted for ships because I kind of felt that ship needed some love. You know, one of those ships that maybe people don't think about much, or maybe it's one of those ships that, you know, people don't use very much in the game because the functionality may not be there. But it's kind of like certain ships have got like 15 different paints and some ships have none. And so I'm kind of trying to spread the love a little bit so that every ship owner has some variety to their ships and they can do some type of customization. Sometimes they're ships I own, sometimes it's a ship I don't own. But how do you vote? How do you guys vote? And do you think this will make a difference? The fact that they're doing categories this year, I know in the past that has been an issue. People have talked about the fact that you're putting this ship up against this ship. It's a different class. It's a different type of ship. Some ships they feel like certain ships are much more popular and multifunctional than other ships that are much more specific in their role. But I'm curious to know if you guys think, first of all, are you interested in voting? That's the second thing. And then secondly, what we've been getting so far is a paint, right? That usually comes out of this at Ship Showdown, and that ship is usually that paint is usually distributed when we get to IAE in the fall. And my question becomes, is that enough? I'm not saying that there should be more. I'm not saying there should be less. I'm just curious as to, is that something? Because sometimes people don't like the paints. Sometimes they don't really like the paint that CIG comes up with, the schematic or whatever, the scheme. Do you think that that's, a fair thing? In the very first Ship Showdown, some of you guys may remember that when we got our paints, they weren't like a skin, or they weren't a livery. They were a skin that got attached to that particular ship, and it got glued on, right? I mean, you couldn't take it off. I've never tried to put another paint on top of that paint. I'll have to see if that's possible. But anyway, let's get some folks to come in. I can quit talking and see what you guys think about Ship Showdown. I think I had Pops, then Fast Cart, then Fist, so I'm going to try and go in that order. So let me bring in Pops in space first. Hey, Pops, how are you?
I am fine, and how are you?
I'm doing okay, my friend. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good.
Give me your thoughts here.
Okay. Usually before in the past, I vote, kind of like whatever I'm feeling at the moment. But this is going to be the first year I'm going to vote on some ships because I own them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to vote just to give a ship some love or whatever, kind of. I'm going to vote for my Polaris.
Okay.
I'm going to, well, the Sulin has plenty of paints though, so I probably will skip that one. But my main one that I'm going to vote for is the Polaris. I want to
Okay.
get that.
Okay.
All right.
That should be interesting. You know what though? I wonder if the Polaris will be in the competition. I don't remember.
Yeah,
Do they have to be ships that are in game?
Yeah, I've been so excited about
I
that
think
Griff.
they
I forgot
do,
that
right?
being a main factor. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, Togi
Oh
said
my
it. Yeah,
goodness.
Togi
Yeah.
just said it. Yeah. So
No,
you
you
have to
don't
pick
burst.
something else out of your fleet. I mean, even though I
Oh
understand your
man.
excitement about your Polaris, I'll have to wait till next year.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the promise that it's going to be in the game, and
Right,
I'm
in the
like,
fall.
oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's not
I
gonna be out in time for Ship Showdown though. So okay. So
Yeah.
what would you
Oh,
replace with your Polaris then? I know you've got some other ships. What would be something else that you would vote for in your fleet?
um. Will the Wait a minute? Will the spirits be out?
Yes, spirits are out.
No.
Spirits are out.
Yeah. Well,
The
no. Well,
Zeuses
I'm
aren't
really
out. The
talking
Zeuses aren't out, but the
the
spirits
Zeus.
are out.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Oh my goodness.
Yep, can't do the Zeuses then.
Oh, can't do the Zeus either. Goodness. Okay. Well, I'll. Well, what about the Pulse? We don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
The pole, yeah, that should
okay.
be in for vehicles. Yeah,
Yeah.
that should be in for ground vehicles. Okay, so you're gonna put your Pulse
Yeah.
in for the vote. The
Yeah.
Pulse might
I'll
win
take
because it's
that.
a pretty popular. Ever since it's come out, a lot of people bought the Pulse, and not just for LTI tokens. They like the Pulse, so that might be a winner. You might be on the winning side on that particular vote. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Pops.
Okay.
All right, Polaris next year, buddy. Okay. All right, let me bring in Fast Cart next. FC, what's going on?
Hey, not much. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I probably, well, my vote probably is going to be for the FA Lightning, just because it's new and I own it. So I typically vote for ship that I own.
Okay.
But like you said, if I'm running out of ships to vote for, then I go for a ship that probably don't have any skin. But yeah, I'm seeing what the competition is, and yeah, I'm hoping for the FA Lightning. But I don't think that's going to be the top winner. But we'll see. I will say that the 890 jump has a decent chance, I think, this year of winning. But I don't.
Don't even say that to me. I try not to even think about it. It'll usually start out good out the gate, and then it disappears, and I've just gotten used to that. It would be nice because that's one of the ships that has absolutely no other paints.
Right.
But I just don't know. There's a certain bias against the 890, I think, to a certain degree.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, nice. I think its time has come. We'll see.
Well, we'll see. But I think your F8 one, I didn't think about the F8 now being in. That's another good candidate for fighters. And I think it only got like one livery if you don't have the other the executive thing. I think there's only one paint for it, right? So yeah, I guess it could deserve some love.
Yeah, there may be two. I forget, but yeah,
maybe two. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. All right, that's a good pick.
We'll see.
All right, buddy.
No
Thank you. All right, let's bring in Fist to Face next. Fist, are you there? By the way, don't forget, you can click on the link and come in and share. If you've never been here before, we would love to hear your voice. This is open to the community. This is the community's voice we want to hear from. Fist, how are you, buddy?
Yes. Hey, how are you?
Okay.
How are you? For me, I'm gonna vote for what has not been shown some love.
Okay, what you got?
So I don't know really what I got until I see it up on the screen.
Okay. Okay. But if there was some ship that you can think of either from in your fleet, or maybe if it's not in your fleet, that really has not, done well, which one would you probably go for? It could be a vehicle or a ship, whichever one.
I would have to say, I'm trying to think what would the name of them.
Well, I got one that I know that people have keep rumbling about and it never goes, and that's the Terrapin. I would like to see the Terrapin get something.
Yeah, see that's what I mean. I don't have a Terrapin in my fleet, but that's what I mean. I haven't seen a Terrapin go that far, so I would like to show us some love,
Okay.
Something like the tumblers. I don't know if the tumblers ever went that far.
That's a good question. I don't think they have. I don't think the ground vehicles have gotten anything before, which is interesting that they're doing that this year. Okay, like Pops mentioned about the bike. Yeah, okay. So maybe we'll see one of the tumblers. Or something. If there was a tumbler you pick, which one would you pick?
Ooh. You know what? I really don't know the variants names like that.
I mean, you want the one with the one with the machine gun on it, the missile one, the scanning one. Which one?
The missiles. Let's say
the missile one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It'll be interesting to see if they break them down to that sub level, or whether they just, like you said, just make it the tumbrel, the four wheeler.
Right.
We'll have to see which one they do. Okay, but that's cool. I
There
got
you
you.
go.
Send us some love
That's
to one of those.
Yep.
All right, brother.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, let's bring in the one and the only. Speaking of vehicles, the man himself, Togi. What's up, buddy?
What up?
Hey, what's happening?
Yeah, so I'm not even going to entertain the thought of any of the ground vehicles making it into the final 8, let alone the final 4.
But ground vehicles is a category. You don't think that they'll make it?
It's cool.
Okay.
I mean, like, they're gonna get shoot horde into the first 16 or 12 or whatever it is.
Okay.
Because they have to.
Yeah.
And then they'll go round 1.
But you listen, you're the vehicle guy. If there was one that you would like to see for out of all, because you've got
Come on now, you already know the answer to this. It's
the
Tonk.
Tonk. Okay. All right. Tonk's got a lot of paints out there, but for it to get a custom paint would be interesting. Okay. How about that?
Yeah, especially a very gaudy one. Like, I want a very gaudy, super bright tank.
You need the yellow to go along with everything else. Now you need that bright yellow,
exactly.
Banana yellow. You need that banana yellow. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. I would be honest though. Pops mentioned about that. What's the new bike called? The
Pulse.
The Pulse. That is popular. And I am curious to see whether or not it rises to the top a little bit.
If any of them had a chance, that would be the one.
Yeah, that.
But I mean, it's also going to be, a big question here is going to be how they do that initial bracket. I think that, because anything that they don't want to win, like especially out of the underdog division, I mean, because that's where you're going to have your memes and your less than loved.
Yeah.
The Terrapin, the Gladiator, the stuff that they actually don't want to touch right now.
Yeah.
And I'd be willing to bet that depending on what makes it into each category is actually going to decide who they put it up against. Whoever they want to win the least is going to go first round robin with the combat division. Because the combat division, one of those ships is making it to the final 4.
Yeah.
It's going to be the F8 and the F7A.
I didn't think about the F7A, yeah.
And F7A is gonna win.
Yeah,
100%. It's gonna win.
Yeah, I forgot we got a lot of new ships in here now. I've been thinking about all the old stuff that's been beat around, but I forgot there's a lot of new competition this year. Yeah,
F7A is gonna go number 1, and anything they don't want to win is gonna go up against the F7A.
Yeah. Okay. All right, buddy. We'll see. Your prediction sounds good. Thanks, buddy. Wow. I didn't think about the F7A. Okay, let me bring in Red Bear. Red, you there?
Yeah, I'm
hey, buddy.
here.
Yay.
Yeah, well, I have told you a lot of about the Avenger Titan.
Yes.
The Stalker.
Yes.
I put in actually also one of those screenshot up on this tournament. So
okay.
You know what I'm hoping for. Even has a lot of those skins. But I think it's still appreciated as a ship, what it can do. Yeah. And it can also need a touch from CIG.
It'd be nice. I agree.
I'm also in agreement with Toby that F7A is probably going to end very high.
Yeah.
And I think the 890 jump is not going to win.
Yeah, that's why I told Fast Cart, don't even get my hopes up. It's like...
I do hope they do these divisions in rewarding in a paint, so everybody in their division gets a nice skin.
That's
even
what I would
the
think.
ground vehicles.
Yeah,
that will be the most fair, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because else it wouldn't make sense to do it like all the other. We have enough ships as well, right?
Yeah,
it's 100+. You can do this now.
I agree.
Before, it was kind of a iffy thing, but now it should be able to do. I hope they're gonna touch up the Starfarer. It lacks a lot of love. Then
it does.
I cannot even begin with how awful that ship is now compared to other ships.
I know. We don't realize it, but the Starfarer is actually one of the oldest large ships. It was the first big ship that we ever got that was 100 meters. And it's been around a long time. You're right. That Misk line of ships at that time, they're they got a little bit of dust on them. They need to be spruced up a little bit. You're absolutely right.
I think also this goes for the freelance. I don't have one, so I can say this now.
Oh yeah, Freelancer series. Yes,
they need also some touch up.
Yep.
At least they feel more refreshed, like they did with the Hornets. I think the phase 2 is really in how they look like touch up.
I've always hoped that they would take the the new design that they gave the hull A, the hull C, the Odyssey, that was what they would when they do the next push on that to move them to gold standard. That's what the interiors of the Freelancer line would look like. That they would step them all up to that newer look, because that newer look is much more attractive to me. The older one, I hate to say it, but the older one looks old. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The new vision of those ships looks much better to me in the A and C series. So I would love to see that too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Red, let's pray for the Avenger, brother. We're going to get the Avenger in there, okay? All right, last but not least, the one and the only Admiral himself. I wish I had like that whistle, because the Admiral.
Hey,
What's
sir.
up, buddy?
How's it going?
How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's 2024, and we've been doing the ship Showdown since September of 2019.
Okay.
But it's okay. It's okay, because that means we've actually we had an SC live with the 890 jump, so we've been doing the ship Showdown for longer than the 890's been even known about. I kind of think we need to goddamn do something different. Because really, this stupid event was actually made to bring into CitizenCon. Now they're like, oh, well, we don't really know where to put it, so let's just put it in July, and we'll just have other Star Citizen Lives and stuff like that before the big thing. So yeah, but I'm just trying to grind my gears and stuff like that.
You need to go find Spectrum. Go grind your gears on Spectrum. You don't really like the Ship Showdown event, really?
No, I think it's ridiculous. It's like, okay,
what's ridiculous? Me and Admiral gonna have our talk time.
$15 paint, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna do all this thing and spend all this time, and half the time it's a meme. It's like a meme thing on Twitter or X or whatever, or on Spectrum, and then the other time it's just like, some ship doesn't have that I spent $1,200 for or $600 needs another paint. And because I'm sick and tired of my other paint.
So you don't think that the new category breakdown will help push through some of that now? I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why they're changing it.
Work log is?
No. You didn't see the whole. They changed it this year. The way the ships are being selected and everything this year. You don't think that was a step toward trying to maybe get out of that whole, people being able to make one ship a favorite and blah 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 blah. You don't think that would make a difference?
Well, I think aren't they supposed to do it in house? Isn't that the idea now?
In-house, you
like who's voting? How's the voting done?
The backers vote.
Okay, and then how is that compiled? How does that prevent them from, like, say, memeing?
Prevent who from memeing?
Like, if I put out a meme, it gets voted. People will like, oh, that's a cool thing. I'm going to do the MPUV.
But that's on the backers. If the backers decide to follow a meme,
something, and
if the backers put out a meme. Or if the backers just put out a sentence, it's the backers that pick it.
Yeah.
I mean, so do we get mad at CIG or do we get mad at the backers? Who do you get mad at?
Well, how's that different than what the issue was before?
No, my question is, who do you get mad at, the backers or CIG? If the backers decide that they like a meme,
the game, right? You gotta play the game, play.
But you're raising the issue. But you're raising it as an issue, and I'm saying if the backers are the ones who fall for the meme.
Yeah,
that's not CIG's fault.
No, I wouldn't even say it's a fault for the meme, because some of the memes are kind of funny. I'm like, oh, that's kind of true. And,
well, you and I both know that people vote. Listen, not to be funny.
I play the MPUV because I was the MPUV. I'm like, okay, I'll vote for the MPUV.
Right. Some people vote for the ships because it's, for example, some people will vote because it's in their fleet. Pops mentioned, like, this year I'm thinking about for my fleet. Some people vote for a ship because they say, that ship hasn't gotten any love. Some people vote for a ship because it gets a meme. I don't get mad if one ship in the group, like, for example, when the Goofy MPUV won, I didn't get mad about that. The MPUV is a vehicle that is going to have some place at some point in the game. And yeah, there may have been other ships that were more used or more viable, but I didn't get bent out of shape because the MPUV won because of a meme. It won because of a meme. People evidently wanted to have fun with it, which is what gaming is supposed to be about. And there were 4 other ships that won. It wasn't like all 5 of the ships were memes. One won because of popularity, because someone came up with something creative. Okay. What's the problem? That's a part of the whole dynamic of this. I think that CIG is listening a little bit with the breakdown of categories, because people did talk about they felt it was unfair that certain types of ships were being put up against other types of ships, that the classes didn't match or what they did in the game didn't match. So I'm not saying this is perfect. I'm not saying that what they've come up with is the best thing. I'm just saying I think they've listened to the community. They're trying to tweak it a little bit. They also said they're going to go off of analytics based upon what ships we play with, because there's some ships, let's face it, we don't fly. If the Gladiator would never win if it was based on analytics. People don't fly it. There's other ships like that in the game. People don't fly it. Would the P-52 win in the analytics thing? No, it wouldn't. So I don't know how they balance all that out, but if the P-52 was a rise to the top of the cream because of a meme, I'm okay with that. Now, if every ship wins because of a meme, I might have a problem. With that.
I mean,
but I don't know.
The Gladiator needs like that.
It needs love.
The BMM action that it got like 2 years ago when it looked like Darkwing Ducks. If people remember that, it was like Darkwing Duck. I'm like, that is straight up Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, it is. It's bad.
So, but you know what? Everybody's. I understand why they're doing this. It's a community thing. It keeps people involved. It brings down their stress level a little bit, because the game has been buggy for many people, and in a way, to me, it's just like smoke and mirrors. And I get that; it's fine. People can de-stress that way. But when it comes down to it, I just want something new to replace this thing. And I just want them to quote unquote innovate and make something better that they can just think of, and maybe the community can put in suggestions that because half the shows that were 5 years ago, I'm like, they're calling all devs and stuff like that. Reverse the Verse was 5 years ago. Around the Verse, these are things that were kind of no longer around today. Calling all devs, I'm looking at it right now. Right. So the end Law Maker's Guide was 5 years ago. Jesus. So this is like the only thing that has actually survived that time period. And I just think it's time for something different.
Okay. Well, to my point, suggest something. I mean, I'm not against that. I'm saying, what's something new, especially at this stage in the game, that would engage the community? Maybe there's not even a variation of this, but something that's entirely different. The question is like what? And I don't know what that answer would be. If the community's in, I think you also have to base it on, and even with the shows you mentioned too with CIG, they base that stuff on analytics too, whether or not we're paying attention to it, whether it's something that we want. And they don't just arbitrarily stop something just because, well, we're just tired of doing it. If the community is giving them numbers that say this is popular and they're using it, then it continues, or it morphs like ISC did. ISC went from being around the verse. They still keep that community show, but it has changed in many ways in how they do it. But they dropped Reverse the Verse because that was not the thing that people wanted to see. They wanted more information. They didn't want to just see CIG people hanging out, So the question becomes what? Because if you create a vacuum, and you know how this community is, when you take stuff away, they go crazy. You got to replace it with something. And the question would be what? And
I was trying to look out what this replaced. Everything is YouTube is 5 years ago. Even on RSI, it's 5 years ago. It doesn't tell you specific dates. Originally, this competition was in September, late September, before CitizenCon, and then it got pushed back towards mid summer. So I can't really figure out what it replaced in the midsummer, or if it was just something new. I don't think anything replaced it in late September. But
no, no, you start getting into. Did we have Pirate Week already? Pirate Week came, didn't it? There's something else coming up, and then we get CitizenCon. I thought there was one other something coming up. I can't remember. We had Pirate Week, y'all. Do y'all remember this?
So far, I
don't. Cargo Week. Yeah, right. Now Halloween is after CitizenCon. No. I'm talking about in CIG promoted stuff, guys, not stuff in the industry. Gamescom, not Gamescom. I can't think, but yeah, maybe there hasn't. I don't know, but we'll see, Admiral. I don't know. Like I said, whatever gets taken away, the question becomes, do we? And not to be funny, there will be some people who will feel like even if they put something else in, they won't be happy with it. Even if it's something brand new, they'll say it's just something else to make money. No pirate yet. Okay, yeah, so pirate is coming up. Thanks, Captain Jones. Hey, Captain Jones, I hope you're feeling better too. Yeah, so Pirate Week is still coming up. And then after that, we've got CitizenCon. All right, well, let me move on to the next thing. Thanks, Admiral. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Alrighty, let's jump into our next one. We are leaving out of the ship showdown. And what time is it? Oh, we're doing good in our time. Let's go to this one. What's happening with the eternal backlog of concept ships? Ooh, you know what? I completely messed up on this one, guys. Let me, and you have to bear with me for 1 second here. Unfortunately, I forgot that there was a graphic that's supposed to go with this, and it just struck me now. So I'm going to pull the graphic up. Give me one moment. Uno momento, because this is on Reddit. Let's see. Is there a way for me to do this without having to do all the hard work? I think I can do this without doing. Nope. I got to do the hard work. Save. Let's see if I can save this image. Nope. I'm gonna try and just put the image on the screen for you guys, okay, and make it a little bit easier, because if I do this other thing, it's gonna be a pain in the butt. Okay, let me read this to you. This is by Viajeroastralx. I know I'm probably slaughtering that name, so forgive me for saying your name wrong. But this is on Reddit, and this is what he or they say, because it might be a she or they. It takes almost 2 years to create a large ship and put it in the game. For example, the Polaris, and there are too many remaining. Even this year, the Drake Ironclad has been added to the backlog of large ship concepts, and very possibly another large concept sale will be prepared for this IAE. It is not normal to sell conceptual ships for over $700 for years and not have the minimum commitment to make them in the game, nor to give a small estimated date. How many years are needed to clear the current backlog of conceptual ships, especially if new concepts continue to be added to the backlog without any control or dates? Okay, so that's that. And I want to show you guys the graphic that was supposed to go along with this that I neglected to put into the streaming software. See if I can do this without screwing up things here. Let's see. We got to do all the way over here. I have to move this to here. And I'm sorry for the delay, gang, but can't do that. All the way over. Jeez, screen is too big. Feet's too big. My feet's too big. All right, here we go. Some of you have seen this. This is published quite often on Reddit. I'm not going to do that whole thing that it fits on the screen. I'm going to try to occupy most of the screen with this so you guys can see it. This is the log that is done that shows all of our ships. And the ones that you see that are the small boxes are the ships that have been completed. And then the ones that are the big boxes are the ones that have not been completed. And so my question to you guys is in relation to the backlog, right? There's something in particular about the ships that you see now that are on the backlog. And if you read the Reddit post, you'll see that there are people that actually start talking about when did the ship's backlog start to get increased, not increased, but decreased, where more ships were starting to be produced by CIG, not just new ones, but even ships that were backlogged. And it started in 2018. So if you look at some of these ships that are here, now you have to forgive me because my eyesight is horrible. Let me change over here for a moment. I know I've got two people already waiting to talk about this. Give me a second here. Copy here, because I have to, my eyesight is not what it used to be, guys. So I have to make this like really big for my for myself. Okay, so some of the ships that are listed here: the Idris M, the Merchantman, the Orion, the Idris, the Crucible, the Endeavor, the Genesis, the Hull B, the Hull D, the Hull E, the Polaris, which we know now is, being worked on or been done or worked, it'll be out this fall. The Pioneer, the Kraken, the G12, both the Apollos, the Vulcan. We've got all the Rangers. Those are the bikes. The Kraken. We said the G12s. The Liberator, the Odyssey, the Legionnaire, the UTV, the Spirit E2, the Galaxy, the Zeus series, which we know those are this fall, the Arastra, the Ironclad. Okay, those are the ships that are right now considered backlog. I can do a count on how many of those there are. I'd love to give your thoughts about this idea about the backlog. Let me bring in, I'm going to go alphabetically because I don't know who came in first, if it was Kai or Pop. So I'm going to bring Kai in first here. And boom, there he is. Kai's in. How are you, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So you got a bunch of people waiting to have their comments. So I'm just going to comment on one small aspect of this question and then let them the rest of it.
Gotcha.
CIG is 100% responsible for any delays, any slowness, any whatever in what they designed. CIG is 100% responsible for what they put up for sale. CIG make lots of money, so they put lots of things up for sale. CIG is 0% responsible for how frustrated you are in you spending money and buying shit that is not out. So if you were a person like perhaps Pops or Fist, who is super happy with the project and is like, hey, I don't care, my shit's not out yet, I really want it, but I'm happy and I'm along for the ride and whatever, then keep buying shit. If you're a person like this person who's writing into Spectrum or Refundians or whatever, who you're super mad and butthurt, stop buying things. If you're someone that is maybe sort of in the middle, where you're like, I'm a little jaded, I'm a little excited, I go through days where I'm feeling pro this game, days that I'm anti this game, come up with a reasonable way that you can protect yourself from your bad feelings, i.e., I'm not buying anything on concept, I'm only buying shit on release.
When it's released.
Whatever. But in the end, you bear the responsibility for your level of butthurt. And so just handle it accordingly. Be a big boy, handle your money. I'm out.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Straight and to the point. All right, let's bring in Pops in space next. Pops.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm here. I want to address one thing when he's talking about the backlog and ships. And see, when CIG, I don't know exactly when, maybe it was 2 years ago, maybe, and they came out with, they said they were not going to put ships in the game that had no gameplay to them, which, because I know the Merchantman got sidelined for, its own issue with one of the devs, but like the Polaris, it would be 2 years ago. What are you going to do with a Polaris?
Fly around.
Right. I mean, yeah, but you got to think, how many people would you need? And then when the servers were at what, 50 people?
Yeah.
So half the server is going to be on the Polaris. What, and plus there was really no gameplay attached to it. One of the oldest ships in the game, the Endeavor. Why put the time and effort into that ship right now when there's absolutely no gameplay for? Where's the science gameplay? Nowhere yet. So it had to do with that, and I was happy to hear about that. So when we hear a ship is coming into the game, we know content is close by or there and ready to go. So I was happy about that.
Okay. All right, Pops. I appreciate the thoughts. Thank you. All right, let me bring in Red Bear. Bring in Red. Hey, Red.
Hey. Yeah, that's I agree with Kai, to be short. And I have one thing to add about no gameplay for a ship. I want to talk about the E1, the Spirit. It has no gameplay, people say, but still there's like the 600i, the 890, and the 400i, all luxury ships are to transport for luxury people. And we don't have the E1.
Mhm.
Why not?
Mhm.
Is my question to Sig. I mean, then this ship should be able to get in
Mhm.
either way.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
we get soon the Zeuses, at least 2 of them.
Mhm.
The Bound Merchantman, I can see why they delayed that.
Mhm.
Well, far away. The Hull B, I really hope they put the Hull B in.
Mm.
I hope, well, it's a bit of hopium
Mhm.
with the cargo patch that
Yeah.
they squeeze it in there.
Yeah.
I'll be honest here. Otherwise, yeah, I'm looking forward to some of the ships, but
Okay.
it is what it is. You cannot have all those ships at once, and
Yeah.
well, in a way, I actually think the post has a point to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But then again, if you feel mad about it, Kai is right. Hey,
Mhm.
don't buy him.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
There are times when I feel that CIG's communication could CIG have communicated some things a little better. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean. When this project started, there were several types of ships that were available in the beginning, most of which were concept, but some of them were, the initial ships that came out, like the Hornets, the Auroras, the Mustangs. And then we saw this other group of ships. The Starfarer was one of them. The Bound Merchantman was one of them. The Idris was one of them. Some of those ships were included in packages. And even though there was this is what we're working on, this is what's going to come out. And I want to go all the way back to like 2014, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking 8 years, 9 years on some of these ships. I don't think anyone could have conceived that it would be a 9-year wait.
No.
And so I'm not even sure that CIG would have thought it was a 9-year wait, considering they may have even. I remember we saw the Idris in a presentation back in 2015, 2016.
Yeah,
there was an instance. Remember this? There was an instance where they did one of those little mission things at a CitizenCon or a Gamescom, and at the very end of it, the Idris flew over Port Olisar, and the place went crazy. Right, place went nuts.
It was
right?
Idris, yeah.
Yeah, people went crazy. It was a great surprise, and I remember saying, "Wow, there's the Idris." And mind you, it probably had nothing in it. We might have been just seeing only the bottom of the ship. There may not even been a top, but it flew over, right? And it was a cool moment, right? Whether CIG knew that this length of time would be needed, whether they underestimated the time that was needed. I think that one of the difficult pieces was most gamers and players were not prepared for the journey that this development has gone through, right? And would I have bought an Idris if someone had said to me, until we can get the server capacity up to a certain number, until we have certain mechanics in, until this, that, and the other, your ship won't be delivered. Those type of things. I'm not saying whether CIG should have said that. I'm just saying, would statements like that have helped people make a better decision? Would they have still said, I don't care, I'll still buy it because I want it, or I know it's cheaper right now, so let me get it at this price, and I may have to wait. I don't think. I've got some things that I'm waiting on still. I've got an Orion, one of the old ships too. I'm waiting on that. I've got a Genesis Starliner. I'm waiting on that. But I put them out of my head because I come to the conclusion that says that even if I had my Orion, what would I be doing with it right now?
Yeah.
I could say, I'm going to go out and do mining, right? But there's no economy system to support that level of mining in the game right now. It's the way the Orion is supposed to operate. There are like 5 or 6 stations that are supposed to operate in there, and right now there's only 2 that work in the ship. So there's stuff that's not there. So it would be great to have it as a consumer, to say that I could go to the hangar or go to the dive, and there's my ship, but what can I do in the game? What's the performance impact of that big monster? You know what I mean? Being in stance. And because I remember when the Starfarer came out, I remember the performance impact for that. It shut the whole freaking system down. So if you had all these big capital ships running around and you had 20 people on them, and the servers that at one point only held 25 people, then 50 people, now 100 people, the practicality of those ships being in the game just isn't there, which is why it's important for us to be able to get server meshing and all the other tech stuff done and the other systems in, so that those ships can be brought into the game, right?
But here's the thing. Back in 2015, or maybe not even 16, we didn't even knew about server meshing.
Right.
Well, they still had this, there's still this pipe dream.
Yeah.
And since when they went to this new technology, then everything took a lot longer.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that they even didn't take into account back then.
I don't know. Here's the deal. I don't know what Chris Roberts had in mind when it comes to the persistent universe, because even if you go back to the earliest days, he would talk about having thousands of people playing on the server. So but the idea of a network was there. Whether they called it server meshing has been around for a while, but whether the idea of what he was coming up with, that dynamic, the way he's looking at doing it, I agree with you. Did that evolve over time? Because in order to have a bunch of people on servers, no matter what, you've got to have this, you've got to have this server meshing thing going on. And we've had that around since WoW. A lot of other games have always had some form of server meshing. You remember that in the early days, we weren't going to be able to land our own ships. We were going to be doing kind of like Starfield. We were going to request a landing, and there would be a cinematic, and you would land. And at that time, they said one day we would like to be able to make it so that you could, but that was supposed to be down the future, right? So I guess I understand from a consumer point of view that when we pay for something, we're used to, within a quote unquote reasonable amount of time, receive it. If I'm going to get a Rolls Royce that's custom made and they tell me it's going to take 6 months, I'm going to give them that 6 months, because I know what I'm paying for. If I buy something off the floor and they tell me, well, you can come back and get it 3 weeks from now, I'm going to be, well, why? It's sitting right here on the floor, right? So I understand that consumer side of us, but that doesn't work necessarily in the development side of this project, and that's unfortunate. I don't want to. I don't want to take that away from people who are feeling like, man, I was really hoping that I would have had this by now, or people who might feel like these other ships got introduced and they brand new, and my ship's been around for 7 years and I don't hear anything about it. I can understand that frustration from a consumer point of view. But from a game development point of view, and to Kai's point earlier, there's no promise. There's we click that little box that says things can change and this is the way it is, and development fluctuates, and that's it. And sometimes we don't really realize that when we click on that box, what it really means.
Yeah, we had this conversation a while earlier, if you remember, about when ships come out and which ships are almost done. And I was, maybe a bit negative. I said, well, if the Polaris comes out end of this year, then end of next year, we might see the Galaxy and Perseus, right?
Right.
And you said, well, a lot of other ships are already partially or maybe already done. I think you're in a way you're right with the Spirit, for example. That's a clean example that from the other two are done. So I think this should be next or near to done for release whenever they want to feel it. For a sale or something.
Yeah, I agree.
So, well, I don't know how many they have ready so far.
Don't know.
I'm
hoping that they surprise us. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that they surprise us and shut us up at the same time, to be honest with you. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, Red.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thank you, man.
Bye-bye.
All right, let me bring in Captain Serious Fun. Hey, Cap, how are you? Uh-oh. Maybe he stepped away from the microphone.
I'm here.
There he is.
I am here. I am processing this question. I'm working hard on it because, like most social media questions, and especially the answers that you see to those questions, they're informed by context.
Mm-hmm.
The context that's out there, and the ones we hold personally, right? And very often there's a gap between our personal context and our personal feelings and what is, right? My daughter today said she's feeling all this pressure to graduate from college. I said, external pressure? She said, yeah. I said, from who? I said, because we're not doing that. She said, well, she feels it anyway. She said, well, she feels it anyway. I said, well, how to dissolve the gap between the absolute reality that no one who matters is pressuring you to do anything and how you feel, right? It's the same thing here. And some of the good work of communities like Soul Citizens is working always to dissolve and bridge and close that gap between how people might be feeling about something and what the reality is. And sometimes the reality is exactly how they feel. And sometimes it's not, right? And sometimes it's not.
Right.
In this particular case, you know, for me, ships should come with gameplay and economy, right? If I'm CIG gets hit on the head if they give you a ship and there's no gameplay with it. CIG gets hit on the head if they don't give you a ship because the gameplay and the economy hasn't come. A lot of this is just straight math. And to make my point, I'm going to invoke one of the great UK rappers, and I'm being sarcastic, Big Shaq. Big Shaq has a track called Man's Not Hot, and it starts with this 2 + 2 is 4, -1 is 3, quick maths. And we need some quick maths around here, right? The project has raised $715 million, right? The people that are haters on the project say the project been around for 12 years, right? Now, we all know that those 12 years, the project looked very different in the first few years than it looked in the middle of those years than now. But let's just go with the haters.
Right.
That's $59 million a year. CIG's got how many staff right now?
1,300.
Okay, let's say 1,200, right? We're being because you know people coming and going, right? All right.
Okay.
The average salary is for a tech job in Manchester, the UK, is around $55,000, right? Depending on the role. You got software developer, tech lead, you know. 1,200 people times $55,000 is $66 million. That's $7 million more than the average amount per year. So 750 million divided by 12 is 59 million. Just to pay people 66 million. Right? So, and these are all general numbers and everything, you know, the devil is in the detail, and I get that.
Right.
My point is, let's stop acting like CIG is Smog the dragon sitting on a pile of gold in the back, right? Just pimping people and not doing stuff and just keep trying to make money and not doing stuff and just, you know, not doing stuff. There is a level of accountability. Kai was very clear. If you're not comfortable, don't buy and don't engage. I don't purchase or engage with anything or anyone I don't believe in. Simple. Straightforward. Right? Now, that being said, I can't imagine that the wait has been hard. No one, to your point, imagined this project being this long. I've come to understand that trying to do something like this will take this long. I didn't imagine that up front when I got involved in 2013. Right. And I said this to you before, there's a psychologically impactful truth to the having crossed a 10-year mark. Right. There's something about the number 10. There's something about a decade. Right. That on the back side of that, people feel differently than they felt on the front side of that.
True.
Right. There's something about that. But what I take from that chart that you showed, and what I take from the ship, the totality of all the ships, is that a lot of ships have been delivered. Right. We ain't talking about 10 ships having been delivered. Right. We ain't talking about 20. Right. We ain't talking about 50. Right. We talking about hundreds of ships being delivered. Right. 100 ships. Right. So it's not like we're walking around with Elite Dangerous levels of ships. Right. You know, we ain't got 35 ships, you know.
Yeah.
And we waiting 5 years for one more ship, right? Yeah. We got hundreds of ships. So let's make sure that we place this thing into context.
Mm-hmm.
And if I owned an Endeavor, or if I owned a Burner, if I'm a Banu Merchantman, I might feel a little certain way about how that's gone, right? Because they put it in front of me. They let me taste it.
Right. He gave you the teaser.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. I might feel a certain way about that.
Yeah.
But if I bought an Endeavor and I know what an Endeavor is supposed to do, I know why I don't see the Endeavor right now. That's not even a question. Right. I know why I don't see it, because the gameplay isn't there and the spine and the infrastructure isn't there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Lord of the Drip is right. I'm not. You don't denigrate scrutiny, right? But you do challenge logical fallacy, right? Yeah. Everybody is imperfect, right? The question is, if you believe in the project, right, and you lean in with positive criticism, right? Because you're trying to elevate the project.
Yeah.
Right. When you look at some of the answers to some of these questions online, people are leaning in with diminishing criticism, right? They're trying to break the project down. Right. Yeah. And I'm not for that.
One of the things that I want to say this real quick. One of the things why I showed that chart was because I was hoping that people would see which in particular ships were not done. Right.
Right.
And there's a reason why those ships have not been done, which I tried to articulate by saying technical limitations, performance issues, gameplay mechanics are all attached to many of those ships that we saw. Not to mention virtually the majority of those ships in there were of what we would consider capital or large class ship. Now, again, that's why I started all the way back to 2013, 14, 15, when ships like the Idris were shown. Ships like the Polaris were shown. And what we are seeing is that they are starting to scale up, right? On the size of some of these ships now. So as we saw with the Polaris this year. And so there had to be these ships that they introduced into the game, first of all, that were for testing reasons. Some ships they put into the game because they said this was our check to see this particular style of ship and this particular, like, for example, when the Phoenix came out, that was their stepping into, let's see what touring luxury will look like, right? No gameplay, no mechanic, but that was something that they wanted to introduce. And I want to say something too to what Lord of the Drip says is that, CIG, yes, please, we are more than willing to acknowledge the fact that as CIG evolves as a company, there are those great leaps that they make forward, and there's that step forward and 2 steps back. But that's any business and company. There's any business and company as they are growing and learning. You have a bunch of professional people who are there, who have many people who've been in the industry for literally decades, but they are also pursuing a different route when it comes to what they're trying to do with the game. And that doesn't make a difference whether you're fresh out of grad school or college, or whether you've been doing something for 20 years. If you're pursuing and pioneering in an area, that pioneering, they say this about game development, 2 things you need: money and time. And it's interesting that no matter how much people in the industry say that's not me. I'm just quoting what the industry says. No matter what the industry tells backers and gamers, that if you want something really, really done well, it takes money and time. It's also interesting that those are the 2 things that gamers criticize.
Right.
Money and time. And they tell you, if you want something cool, we need money and time. But we will very quickly turn around and say, look at how much money, look at how much time. It's an interesting paradox. That's not me telling you that. Look it up. The industry will tell you that.
And one of the things that come out of that is, and I will acknowledge this, as a backer, I'm just a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite. I want them to both take the time and see the investment and give me something that's extraordinary, and I want it now.
Yeah.
Right? I want it as soon as possible. That's the hypocrisy. And if we can own that and be vulnerable in owning that, but then we can have grace for the vulnerability of others. That's all.
That's true. All right. Thanks, Cap. Let me get these other guys
peace.
in. Thanks, brother. All right. Let me get Togi in and then Admiral. Then we're going to take our break because I'm at my top of my hour. Hey, Togi, he's back.
What up?
How are you?
So, the idea that CIG bears no responsibility in this is 100% BS.
Who said they don't? Who said they don't?
Kai said it's not their fault.
Oh,
they bear no
back
responsibility for people being butthurt about the backlog. That is BS. All right, CIG operates on a FOMO model. That is 100% their fault. The idea that, well, we didn't know that this is the way things were going to go is BS, because they know now, and yet they've changed nothing.
But let me ask you a question. I understand that argument. I don't know if I always agree with it. The consumers are the ones who spend their money. If they can't control their FOMO, especially when they recognize it, is that CIG's fault? Is if even if it's marketing at the pinnacle of greediness, nobody makes me take my credit card out except for me.
Yeah, and you know what? An addict, shouldn't do drugs, but if you do drugs next to an addict, you're kind of a butthole.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. There's a shared responsibility here.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it's entirely CIG's fault.
Okay.
But it is as egregious to try to eliminate all responsibility from CIG for people not being able to control their spending habits. These are psychologically proven methods of manipulating people into buying things. So that's why they use FOMO.
I get it, but there's nothing, not to be funny, in marketing in general. There's a reason why fast food restaurants use the colors yellow and red. I don't care if it's Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, whoever you want to call. It's because it psychologically triggers people to do stuff. If I buy McDonald's, I know McDonald's isn't good for me, it's not healthy, blah, 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 but those things are being used. I can't go sue McDonald's later on and say, you guys kept running this red and yellow in front of my flash every 5 blocks, and I've gotten cancer now, and I'm sick because of your food. That would never fly, even though we know that that's the mechanic that's being used, and it's no different. And it's no different in any industry. Is my point. And there's a consumer responsibility. And I'm not taking anything away from what you're saying. Go ahead.
Who's defending McDonald's being good?
I'm not defending
what I'm saying.
Right.
Everyone's just like, oh yeah, no, McDonald's is super bad for you. If you want to be healthy, why are you eating McDonald's? That's what they do. And yet people will come in here and be apologists for CIG when they do things that shouldn't be apologized for. CIG chose this funding model, right? They get to bear both its benefits and its detractions, and this is one of the detractions.
The FOMO, I agree, FOMO is, and again, maybe it's my perspective on FOMO, and I don't want to say this in a wrong way when I say this, so hopefully I'll translate what I'm going to say well. Yes, there are probably people who are more vulnerable to FOMO than others, right? The people who are more susceptible. That type of marketing, literally for them, is almost what some people would almost consider predatory. My perspective is it is not, but that's my perspective. I'm not going to just say it's not in the sense of, is it? Because maybe it is. Maybe there is a tapping of a certain audience and group that the marketing team knows that no matter what we do, we're going to lock them in and they're going to spend money. And that may be very true behind the scenes. I have no idea if it is. If it is, maybe it is. I'm the one like I'm trying to defend CIG. I'm more speaking on responsibility of the people, because I don't know what happens in that marketing room at CIG. What I do know what happens when I talk to the consumers and the backers is the fact that when I hear their responses about spending money. Now, and I want to take this out of the backlog situation, because it doesn't even have to be a backlog, right? It could be just a brand new ship that came out recently that this thing applies to. That I still think that the consumers, if they don't read, if they don't pay attention, if they don't listen to other people, if they don't look at the history of the company, and then they still proceed to step into that door on their own, then I don't know how much I have for them at that point. But for people who, as I mentioned earlier, who may have bought back in 2015, 2016, and maybe thought that the game was going to be out within 3-4 years, and then they're saying, well, where's my thing? I understand it from a consumer position, but from a game development position, I say, even if you had that ship, even if you had it, it benefits you as a consumer, but it means nothing to the game. And I don't know if CIG is their priority to satisfy the people who bought ships. Is that their thing, or is it to develop the game? Is it better to spend time putting out those big ships and giving them to people so that they can't do anything with them in the game? Because the next thing will be, I've got this ship and I can't do nothing with it.
Yeah, the carrot. And I get that.
Yeah, okay.
And I 100% get that.
Mm-hmm.
But I counter you.
Mm-hmm.
Name 1 year, all right, since 2015 that people haven't been saying that Star Citizen will be finished in a year or two. That's been the narrative for like the last 6 years.
No, people do say that. I've never said that. But people do say that. I agree. And that blurred line.
I mean, again,
no, that
like
blurred,
I've heard your predictions about 1.0.
Now. But you ask anybody else, if anybody else has ever heard me say Star Citizen will be done in 2 years, you never hear anybody tell you that I said that. In fact, when I said this, I even said I'm going to go out on the limb and say it. And that's why I said it, because I have never said that. Even back when people were talking about Jesus patch days and everything else. Well, if it's not, I'm wrong. But I'm just saying, I've never been one of those people who every year, and I've always heard people say every year, oh, next year's the year. Oh, they're almost there, blah, 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 blah. This is the Jesus patch. I was around for all that stuff. And I'm like, are y'all talking about Squadron 42, or y'all talking about the Persistent Universe? Because the Persistent Universe is not going to be done anytime soon. And I've said that on this show, that when I first got in, I said it was going to be at least 10 years before the Persistent Universe is done. Now, Squadron, another story, And I agree with you. I mean, that has been the thing that has also led people to feel that maybe their ship will finally come out, because streamers and content creators and maybe even CIG implied that, oh, we're just a few years away from blah, 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 blah. I can agree with that. I won't dispute that people may have felt that, and they felt a certain level of, oh, I'll buy this ship because it'll probably be out. They probably did,
Yeah, and I mean, this whole thing, just with the straight flyable, it just strikes me, if it was any other company, people would be treating it like when Ark sold DLC before they finished the game.
That might be true. Yeah, that could be true. Okay. I'll take that for $1, Togi. I get the argument. I really do. I understand it. I just, it's so hard when I read a post like this, because I don't know if this person is somebody who has been here for 7 years waiting, or someone who's been here 2 years waiting,
Yeah, and and to caveat this, it's not like I hate the game or that I think it's a scam.
Oh, I know.
I mean, for the people listening, like it's, but I don't like how we tend to coddle and wrap, CIG in a security blanket, like they should be free from
any responsibility.
Responsibility and criticism, because they're building something so big. Yeah, they are, but it's their responsibility to do it ethically.
Okay.
And I think that there's some times that they just don't. This is one of them.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you, as always. All right. Let me bring in Admiral Kusanagi, then Fast Cart, and I got to take my commercial break because I'm running over. Hey, Admiral.
Good afternoon again. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have to agree with Togi. This is a scam.
He said it's not a scam.
But he meant that in a backwards way, yeah. My only thing with this is, like, we know, I think you've mentioned this before, that we've heard word that the mine layer ship has been done for quite some time. And like the Carrack, they could just release that thing and not have it done. Like, they could just say, hey, the mines aren't in it.
Right.
Because the cargo pods aren't working in the Carrack for years. Right? So there's no reason a ship like that even has to be delayed. This should be out in the game right now. And I imagine they have other ships like that. My big issue with them is, for years, especially early on, they've said, hey, this is giant thing. It's going to have a farming thing on it. It's going to be a hospital ship. And these are the packs that it's cost. And it's just like this TBD. And what they should have been doing has been, and they still do this now, not as big as the Orion and stuff like that, but they're like trying to, I think, scale it down. But even they should have been like medium ships should have been like their biggest thing. It should have been like Retaliator and Carrack size ships, and that's the biggest thing they're going to sell. And then eventually they'll get to like, bigger than that, and then Idris style like size ships, because it's just they didn't have the people to do it. First of all, they didn't know how they were going to get there, and they're just like, hey, we'll put a concept out and eventually we'll get to it. And I think if you don't say, hey, in our planning board, this is what we're looking to do, this is how we're going to get there, and you're just coming up with like raw ideas and putting stuff out for sale, that's a big kind of slap in the face to like the backer. Because that money for like the original release of like concept of the Idris could have been like used for a family vacation, or could have been used for their kids school fund or something like that, to like increase that over time. So what you have here is like they're losing investments, like their personal investments for the backing of the game, which really could have been like more people could have bought the smaller ships. Maybe people didn't have about $1,100 or $1,500 to spend on a ship. They could have been like a lot easier for them to spend $250. You get more people to be able to buy it, and then that ship comes out a lot quicker. And that's my concern with Star Citizen and how they've done their ship sales. And they haven't just kind of eased on into it, and they're just like bam, 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 bam. This is going to do this. This is going to do that. And we've lost a lot of people since then. So maybe some of those decision makers went away and convinced Chris Roberts that was a good idea. I don't know. But that's kind of like, I think, the concern for many people, because when you buy a ship in 2015 and it's coming up to 10 years, you're like, well, I was going to go buy a mountain bike that year, and it just didn't work out. And it's all this give and take, and you expect to receive something within a reasonable amount of time. So yes, we're not quote unquote investors in Star Citizen, but we lose that ability to invest in ourselves because we're giving that money to Star Citizen, and that's the kicker right there. And I think that's what Star Citizen needs to like accept as a reality, is that's what we're giving them.
That's interesting perspective. That's an interesting perspective. I'm thinking.
If I can make you stop in your tracks, Griff, I had a good talk.
Well, no, it's an interesting perspective. Yeah, I mean, all this is an interesting perspective about CIG. And you've heard me say this before, that I can't wait to see the documentary for the making of Star Citizen. I'm very curious about. It'll be interesting how history unfolds. Did the end justify the means? The old Machiavellian thing. Was this the way to do it? What were the pros and cons to it? What was the end result of it? In other words, if the game is successful, let's say that CIG achieves everything that they want to achieve. That still doesn't mean that there will be success, because public sentiment could have a huge impact on whether or not the game is considered successful. You may reach the technical achievement and technical level that you want, only to find out that you have in some way or other poisoned that work in another way. Will there be people who, that even if they achieve it, they feel so a certain kind of way about this game that even if the game delivers what it's supposed to, they honestly don't want to play it? Or will it be a situation where when the game is completed, and if it reaches that technical level and achievement and performance, and the game is received in a very enthusiastic way, will all this stuff mean nothing later? Will it be no big deal? Will people forget about how painful it was? And I'm really curious to see when this is all over. Your point about people allocating monies into other aspects of their life. It's also interesting to the fact that gaming has the power to make people think about money that could be going to college kids or vacations or their health Think about that. Think about what you said, that a video game can be brought to the same level of whether or not I should have paid for my kid's education or paid for my car note. That's a pretty interesting thing in relation to society, our gaming, our priorities. Because 30 years ago, somebody would have laughed at you for even making that comment. But today, it might be valid. That's why I had to sit and think about as you were presenting that. Because me being an old school person, you know, it's like, and I know I'm deviating a little bit, y'all, so bear with me. I was an Uber driver for several years, and I'll never forget some guys got in my car that were more millennial age, and they got in and they were talking about how they were spending $800 a month on Ubers. And my brain, being the old guy I am, I freaked out. $800 a month? You gotta be freaking kidding me, right? I lost my mind for a hot second. But then I started thinking about it. I said, if you're paying for a decent car note for a nice car, you might be paying between $350, $500 a month for a really nice car. Throw your insurance in there, that's another couple $100 a month. Put your gas in there, it might be another couple $100 a month. Maintenance, tires, blah, blah, blah. My number came out to $1,000 at least. And all of a sudden, I realized that the world was changing into a different space. And so I'm like, wow, $800 a month. This guy doesn't have to deal with maintenance. He doesn't have to deal with no issues. He gets dropped off at the door. Doesn't have to deal with parking. Yeah, he's got to wait for his car, but you can always schedule it ahead of time. Yeah, he's got to maybe deal with a couple knuckleheaded drivers, but that's probably on the minor side of things. And I started realizing that, wow, something really has shifted. So when we talk about this thing of where people's priorities can go and where their monies could go and stuff like that, that's what kind of rang in my head. But the fact that we would compare me buying an Idris to my family vacation, where back in the day, that would have never been a decision. Family would have superseded that by miles. Is an interesting perspective. So anyway, I'm going to move on. Thank you, Admiral. Thanks for giving me something to think about. Let me get Kai Zin in and then Fast Card. And Kai, okay, I'm going to bring Kai back. And then I'm going to Fast Card. I haven't taken my break yet. Hey, Kai.
I had to come back because people are saying...
Uh-oh, hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, go ahead. Say it again now. You had to come back. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yep.
All right. I had to come back because I'm hearing, well, Kai is saying that CIG is, great and we're the problem, and he's defending, he's white knighting. No, I'm not at all. I'm saying
he never defends CIG.
All corporations are corporate. Griff, you've heard me talk for hours about how CIG's marketing is 100% predatory.
Yeah.
It's this, that, and the other. But as you say, so is McDonald's. Mm-hmm. So is Jack Daniels. So is the casino. So is 1,000,001 other things. The only point that I'm making is no one bears the responsibility for how you stupidly spend your money other than you. Now, if you spend your money on McDonald's and Jack Daniels and a casino, but you have enough of it and your life is such that you don't spend enough that it's a problem, you get an enjoyable Big Mac, which I think is disgusting. I wouldn't eat at McDonald's on a bet, but whatever. I do enjoy Jack Daniels. I have been a couple of times to a casino. If you go there and you're happy with the outcome, you did it right. If you go there and it wrecked your life, you're 900 pounds, you are an alcoholic.
Stop going through the drive-through.
you are broke and you can't afford your rent and you haven't paid for whatever because you're a gambling addict.
Right.
I'm simply saying those corporations, they're not good. They're not evil. They're just corporations. They do what corporations do. It's on you. If you wreck your life with shit, that's your fault. If you spend $1,000 on Star Citizen and you're unhappy, that's your fault. If you spend $1,000 on Star Citizen and you're happy, good for you. I'm only saying each person has to bear the personal responsibility for their money.
And let me say this too. There is a side of, that's why I was saying earlier, knowing how the game is played, if you know what I mean by that. And sometimes there are situations where people are naively step into things and don't know. And I know that happens. But I also know that after a certain period of time, that's why I said if somebody's been around for a while, and I've said this about stuff with CIG before, if you've been around this project for any length of time, you should know how the game is played. you know. And that's just my opinion. I could be dead wrong about that, but I think that the history of how CIG has done things is something that you have to step into. And if you've been here for a while, you kind of start to get it. Like someone was mentioning earlier, Admiral said about, or somebody said about or Togi was saying about how, next year, after a while, you've been here long enough. It's like, yeah, okay, next year, and I even think when it comes to purchasing ships and things like that. But again, that's why I use the example of the early days. I can understand people who maybe didn't, we had no idea that we would be in 2024, still talking about this,
You got a guy in chat right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got a guy in chat right now, Drovanovadov, whatever. He's saying comparing it unironically to alcohol in casinos is crazy. I don't compare it unironically. I enjoy
the
casinos
concept
and alcohol within moderation. If you enjoy a cheeseburger or you enjoy a Bud Light or whatever, that's if it's a problem, it's your problem. If you just have it a little here and there and enjoy it, video games are a waste of time and money. All of them are. But if you enjoy it, if it gives you entertainment and you don't let it ruin your life, you have a good balanced family life, you have a good job, then it's great to waste some time and money on something that gives you joy.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Fair enough.
All
right, buddy. Thanks. Yeah, and I think that the balance we're talking about, and I want to get this, I know I always want to talk about McDonald's and stuff. I guess my whole point was talking about consumer marketing, all that stuff. You can apply it to McDonald's. You could apply it to CIG. It's just something that's the way the world works when it comes to people, how they raise money and get money. All right, last but not least, Fast Cart. I didn't know we were going to be on this subject for so long. MC.
Give me my BMM and give it to me now. Give me my Endeavor and give it to me now. No, I'll try to be quick because I know you're over time. And I just want to mention one of the vehicles on that list is the Tumble Ranger, and I think it went on concert a few years ago. But anyway, I'm trying to be quick. Tumble Ranger, I expect that relatively quickly because it's a ground vehicle, and even though it has wheels, I think, oh yes, you can surely knock that out. Nope, it's still not available. But I am more hopeful now because of stuff like the F-8C Lightning coming out. They said that they were going to wait for Squadron 42, but they released it earlier because people who were Praetorian and Wing Commander, they had that shipment in that pack or on it was a, what do you call it? Not a stretch goal. It's a perk basically.
Okay.
And they decided to release it early. But I just want to say I don't think you mentioned it, but I think CIG is still on track to making the aspiration from CitizenCon, right?
Still on track for doing what?
Making the aspirations for the predictions of all the ships they're supposed to in 12 months.
Yeah. Yes. They are still trying to reach that goal for by the time CitizenCon comes around. Yes.
Yeah. So I think they're still on track. So that's something at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
So yeah. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All
Fair
right.
enough. Thanks, brother. All right. That's it. We got through subject number 2. Actually, I thought that was going to be the shorter subject of the day. Thanks everybody for coming in and sharing your thoughts on that. And don't forget, you guys can click on the link and come in and share your thoughts as well. I see that I was trying to read the chat. There's so much stuff you guys have been putting in, sharing your thoughts in there, and I appreciate you guys doing that. Let's take a quick 1-minute commercial break, and then we're going to come back for our final piece here. So stick around for a little bit. We'll be right back. Let's see. Okay, we should be on our ad break. Once again, to those of you who are seeing me, usually if you're seeing me, that means that you are a supporter of the Soul Citizens. And I want to say thank you, as always. We say this every time we're on. Thank you guys for all of your support, for being here, whether you're in chat, whether you drop in and speak, or whether you just tune in, or whether you just tweet us, whatever. Thank you. We really appreciate the support. We are just 6 people short of our follower. We have not crossed that 3,000 mark. I'm going to have to say that today. Maybe we can get a couple more people to get to our 3,000 mark with people following us on Twitch. I don't know. It's kind of funny that we haven't gotten there. Oh, wow. Lord of the Drip, thank you for the 5 community subs. Oh, God, thank you so much. I got to actually recognize everybody who subbed here. I'll wait till I get back on the main channel, though, because everybody can hear it. But thank you guys, as always. We appreciate you very much. Very, very much. Okie dokie. We are back. We are back. Thank you guys again for being here. I got to give some shout outs. I'm so busy talking today. I didn't pay attention to the fact. We'll see. Thank you so much earlier for the sub. 26 months. Appreciate you being here as always. Panzer, thank you for that Prime sub, hooking us up through Amazon. We appreciate that. And of course, Lord of the Drip, as always, giving out 5 community subs. Y'all shout some love at Lord of the Drip for those 5 subs. We appreciate you guys as always. We are, I gotta say this again, gang. We are almost crossing our 3,000 followers list. We are at 2,994 followers. We were trying to get to 3,000 by the end of July, and it didn't happen. I was heartbroken. So we've got the month of August, or we just have this weekend. If you guys are not followers of the Soul Citizens, that you would consider clicking that follow button, helping us get to our goal of 3,000 followers on Twitch. It would be so amazing. And of course, on YouTube as well. If you can follow us there, on our Twitter, follow us on all our social media, and click on that button that says you follow. We really, really appreciate it. Let's hit this last subject for the day. And this one kind of goes back to the title for this week. The title for this week was Sneaky Peeky. CIG put out a video yesterday. Unbeknownst to me, my good friend Togi said, "Griff, have you seen the video?" And I was like, "What? No, what video? I didn't see anything about it." And he popped this thing out here, and I was like, wow. I was like blown away when I saw it. Wow, Sinzino, thank you for that resub. Appreciate you, 12 months. Thank you. Appreciate you. And I know you'd like that, Togi. So Togi put this video out, and I want to show you this, guys. If you didn't see it, it went out in social media. They didn't make a video on YouTube for it, but it is on like Twitter and stuff, and it went out on TikTok. So take a look at this video, and then we're going to talk about it. All right, here we go.
Alpha 324 is bringing tremendous changes to how you manage your
super
belongings.
Soft. Hold on a minute. Why is that video so soft? Why? Hang on a minute, guys. Let me see what's going on. Why is my audio so low on that video? Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Uh-oh, that's not good. Okay, I don't know why the video's so soft, guys, but gotta bear with me. So just kind of listen. I don't know if I can turn it up anymore. Let's see.
Your persistent hangar is now your first customizable home in the verse. Organize your cargo. Keep your gear close. And jump straight into the fray. Your own space means quicker access to the things you need. And Alpha 324 is just the beginning of establishing your home. Stay tuned for more at CitizenCon this year. Until then, get ready for Alpha 324. It's time to shape your own adventure.
Okay, so this little video popped up. As you guys know, 324 came out this week to PTU for Wave 1. We've been hearing about it for a long time. Ivakati had been working hard to kind of get this out into our hands. I've had a chance to get into it the last couple of nights, last night and tonight, night before, I think. Last 2 nights, last 2 nights. Came out Thursday night. But the thing that really caught my eye here was the second part of this video, and it was about persistent locations, which was the hangars. But then they decided to show us this about homesteads, and we saw this at CitizenCon last year. And if you guys remember, Todd Pappy stated that they were going to begin development in January. And for a lot of us, it was kind of like, okay, well, development, that means it's going to be a while, maybe another year or so before we see anything else about it. Well, lo and behold, 8 months later, this pops up on our screen. And what popped up on our screen, if you notice at the bottom, it said that it was in white box. It had moved from gray box to white box, and it's like the very beginnings. Now, when we saw it at the CitizenCon, we saw a much more elaborate setup. But here, we're seeing what looks like the basic element of what a homestead would look like. We're also starting to see things like storage being taken to the next level beyond what we're doing right now with the item bank and things that are going on our ships. But they show the homestead, and then they show furniture. They show these suits of armor that are in their own locations and stands aboard here. So my question to you is, and this kind of goes to what Fastcart was saying a few minutes ago, CIG did set a little deadline here that said that much of what we saw last year at CitizenCon, it was their intention for us to have it in our hands within a year. That would have been from October to October. And this piece with homesteads, do you think that, as you guys know, they want to get us in Pyro for 4.0? They want that to happen, if I'm not mistaken, by CitizenCon. Do you think that homesteads will be ready? Or do you think it'll be something that we'll still have to wait on a little bit longer? We know they're working on it, but the question is with 4.0, and we talked about this thing when you move from a 3 point something to a 4, that there is not just a jump in the sense of content, but there's stuff in relation to background stuff, networking, technical things. That leap means that there's a leap. We could have went to a 3.25. It was just adding content. But jumping to 4.0 says that there's going to be something different, something new, another level that the process is going through in development. So let's see what you guys think. Let's bring in, I think we got Kai is here. I think he was here first. Let's bring Kai in, and then we'll get going. Hey, Kai.
So I think this video is very, very cool. Coming back to the previous point from the last question, the one issue that I would have with this is, like all of CIG's marketing, it's too effing good. It looks amazing. It makes everybody go, oh, I want to go to there. And everybody runs in and throws money at it. And then now let's see it in action. Let's see it fail to load. Let's see a box floating in midair. Let's see, my butler T-posing on top of a chair, and like it is amazing. It is super cool. Do I think that there's any shot that this works remotely like what we're seeing in the near term future? I doubt it, but we'll see. So
okay. So do you think that the homestead stuff will be introduced for 4.0, or do you think we'll still have to wait for it a little bit?
I think it will absolutely probably be introduced in a buggy state. It will not work. It'll fail. They'll remove it. They'll re-add it. There'll be 19 rounds of Evocati. There'll be stuff where it's like, holy crap, doesn't that look awesome? All of my suits of armor floating in air because the cases didn't load, but the armor did, and I can't access it. And I try to open this thing, and I flush a toilet, and it explodes, and I die. But that's the Star Citizen experience, for better or worse.
Okay, and so you don't think anything will change? They'll just introduce some stuff, and that's it. Nothing. It'll be nothing different.
Those people that enjoy it, mazel tov and enjoy. Those people that are going to get butthurt, keep your hands on your wallets. Don't give them money. Just wait and see.
All right, we'll see. All right, thanks. All right, let's bring in Togi. Hey, Togi.
What up? So,
thank you again for introduce the video to me. Thank you for letting me.
Yeah. I mean, and this is, I'm going to caveat this by saying that there is no feature outside of maybe like real track sim for tanks in Star Citizen that is more exciting to me than base building. There is no chance in hell this comes out this year.
Okay.
Not even remotely.
Okay.
All right. This is something that we're going to see presented at SitCon.
Okay.
That they're gonna slap another. We hope to have this out in a year, and we'll be lucky to get it in a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay. Interesting prediction. Alrighty, we shall see. We'll set the clock.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened with Pyro.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Alrighty. Let me bring in Pops in Space. Pops, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of leaning with Togi.
Okay.
Okay, because does that mean we're going to get the Galaxy? And what's the other base building ship? The Pioneer.
Let me answer your question. There are two things about base building that CIG has mentioned in the past. And they, of course, as you know, they went into it a little bit more detail in CitizenCon last year. CIG has said a couple things. One of the things they've said is that base building will be something that we as players can do. And then they also talked about that there will be things with base building that if you don't have the ability to make it, that you can also purchase it. So it'd be interesting to see that when base building comes into the game at tier 0, whether it's at the place where we are actually building facilities or whether it's the fact that we can purchase a facility at least to give us the basis, and then later on they build out with, you know, the actual mechanics of building. I'm not saying which one it is. All I'm saying is that they've said both will be options. You know what I mean? So I don't know, you know, and I think to your point, like Togi's saying what they may do, or Kai said, it may just be nothing more than here's where we are with base building at CitizenCon this year, right?
Right.
I have my own opinion, which I'll share afterward as to what I think they're going to do. But so you're kind of leaning toward what right now? You think that they'll give us some introductory base building with some type of equipment, or do you think that they'll give us some type of small base, or do you think that this will just be all presentation in October? Because they did tie this to 4.0. Now 4.0, as you know, could be 4.0.1, 2.3, but they are tying it to 4.0 right now.
Okay. Now you did enlighten me. I did not know that we were going to get like a be able to go in game and in game purchase a basic.
I'm not saying that's what it's going to be permanently. I'm just saying, what they did say, like there was one show where they showed some stuff, like people were like, I give you an example, like let's say you were building a base and whatnot. They had showed props and stuff, and they had talked about like if you wanted to get a landing pad, you'd be able to buy it, but you'd have to ship it there, bring it there, or like the solar panels, things like that. Eventually, they'll probably make it where it's all blueprintable and we could build it. But I'm just saying that could be a way for them to introduce it, that in the beginning, you just buy these things and put them down, right? And then later, as they develop the actual building mechanic, then at that point, it could be where players are now able to make their own stuff. Like a pre-built versus you building your own custom thing. You know what I mean? But again, that was all talk. You know what I mean? That was all talk. You know, it could have changed.
Yeah, I'm getting a double wide. That I feel you on that. Because what we saw at CitizenCon was, like you said, blueprints. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a bit much to expect.
It was different.
Like, so I'm riding with Togi on that.
Okay.
But hey, if I can buy a double wide, throw it down somewhere in a safe zone, and put my things out, I think that's absolutely possible.
Okay.
I think that's absolutely So
fair enough.
I appreciate the clarification.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. You know, there's so much information pops, and if some stuff, if you weren't around to see it, and even if you were, you'd be done forgot about it. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot of stuff that they've talked about in relation to this whole thing with the Pioneer. Like back in the day, the only thing we knew about was the Pioneer. That was it.
Yeah.
You know, now all of a sudden we go to CitizenCon last year, and now they got 3 different ways you can build stuff now. You know what I mean? So it changes, and it's just information that we try to pass on with, to keep ourselves up to date with what they could be doing. And it could still be something different, when it's all said and done later.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, buddy. Thank you. All right. Last but not least, Admiral Kusanagi. Hey, Admiral.
Hey, sir. This time I won't go crazy.
Okay.
I think they may have a version of this in 4.0. I think definitely after 4.0, maybe 4.1 or whatever the heck they're gonna call it.
Okay.
Because I think we need a we need a was it 0? What do they call it when they first comes out?
Oh, tier 0.
Yeah, we need a tier 0. And they understand that, and anyway, I actually have been looking forward to that ground base builder thing. So maybe they'll put that stupid thing on sale. I'm looking forward to this thing. It looks good from everything they've showed here. Of course, everything's going to have to fall along with how the new cargo system refactor or whatever the heck they want to call it is going to work. And that's going to lead to this. So looking forward to it. It looks very clean too. It's a very nice setup. Period, stuff like that. I'd like to know how we build those, or if those can be buildable now, like when it comes out. Like, is that going to be something I can just like? How do I make that?
Yeah.
And is it going to have cargo functionality in the middle of nowhere, or do I just go to that little kiosk thing with a little push screen and just pull it that way? So I like to know the functionality of like an outpost like that, especially like the little white one they showed there.
Yeah.
So I want to know what that type of stuff system holds. Like, can I put my ship away? Is it gonna? Am I gonna have like a hangar for like, say, small ships? Like the ones have for like the those outposts that we go to now. You can pull out a small vehicle or a small ship. I want to know if we have that capability.
Okay, good stuff. All right, Admiral, thank you much. Okie dokie, okie dokie. Okay. I'll share with you my thoughts on this. We'll wrap it up for the day because we had a busy, busy day. And I want to make sure you guys get over for Paul Shelley. It's interesting that this was tied in. And, you know, there's every once in a while, I still... The question is, what's being sold here, right? 3.24, we already have that. We know about that and what we're seeing right now in relation to persistent hangars and the cargo. That's what we're dealing with right now. What's being sold here is the idea. There's not, like, this isn't a ship sale, right? They're not selling anything like that. But they are selling where they want to go next. And obviously, to many of the players in Star Citizen, the idea of homesteads and having their own place is important. That is tied to the persistent hangar piece, because the hangars are the first step of us having our own space. Some of you guys know that with the hangar piece, it's not just about your cargo and your freight. You can now go to Dumper's Depot and buy furniture, and you can set up furniture in your space. Some of you guys have hangar flare that you can now take out and use. Yes, some of it bounces around, some of it doesn't come up, but the idea is that right now we're testing this idea of being able to create your own custom space. And because they're doing that with the persistent hangars, I think what they're saying is the next step now is not the hangars, but now being able to have a place that is your own. To Kai's point earlier about what the stability and the performance of the thing will be, that's a whole nother thing. And I'm not dismissing that. I'm just saying it's a part of testing. That's what comes with testing. It's not the finished product. So I'm not expecting for me to put a cup on the table and it doesn't bounce around a little bit. I'm expecting that. But I also know that if CIG's direction, if I base it upon CIG's history, which I think we should pay attention to, I would say under any other circumstance, this is just telling us that at 4.0, we're going to see a presentation letting us know that they're further along. And then maybe at the beginning of the year, they'll start introducing something in relation to this. That would be like my basing upon the history of CIG and Citizen Cons. If I were to modify that and say, if I based it around the fact that CIG is trying to do much more now because of 4.0 and because of Pyro, and because they want the game to start moving toward a 1.0 status, that theme has to change a little bit. That now when they show us this can't be pie in the sky. It has to be, we're working on this to get this to you fairly quickly. So do I expect at 4.0 we're going to have bases? I don't know. I think it's going to be more than a presentation. You know, I don't know. Do we need the base building ships to have bases? Is that crucial? Do they need to come together, bases and the base building equipment, or will they just give us the ability to put down a base somewhere? There's a lot of real estate out in Pyro, and there will be plenty of people who will want to stay in Pyro and not be in Stanton. There are places in Stanton too that people may want to be in. I just know that this is a mechanic that's really important to the community, that people are ready to do this, but they could just as very easily start making HABs available in buildings and not have to worry about base building. There's a lot of things they can do when it comes to habitation and people having their own place in the game. And I don't know. We'll have to see. You know, all I know is that we are moving toward the end of this 12-month cycle. We are less than 3 months in now from CitizenCon. And there's a lot on the table for CIG. A lot on the table for CIG. The company that has been staying away from dates decided to put out dates last year, and this community is going to be counting those days and holding them accountable to say how much of what we saw at CitizenCon last year we are going to see. Now, we do know that a lot of it they have seen. It's like somewhere between 50 and 60% of what we saw last year is in the game. May not be at 100% working, but it is there. The question is, will they be able to knock out that other 30 to 40% and present it in a way that is not just testable, but the fact that it becomes a part of the live experience for us in the game? We will see. And yeah, we will be at CitizenCon. Myself, I will be there. Captain Serious Fun will be there. Yo-Yo Meg is going to be there. I don't know if maybe I think I'm not sure who else from our group is going to be there, but we're going to be there, and I'm going to be there looking and checking off the check marks and saying, okay, let's see how much of this we got within the year's time. I'm looking forward to it. I actually am looking forward to it, and I'm optimistic. Only because in the past, CIG's resources have been very much leaning toward Squadron 42. This past year, they've really tried to make this about the persistent universe, and I'm hopeful, not being naive, just hopeful that they will be able to deliver what they said from last year. So that's it. I hope you guys got a chance to see this video and some cool stuff. I'm excited about the possibility of homesteads. And yeah, that's it. We're going to wrap it up now. Let's talk about what we've got coming up. I didn't change the flyer. Okay, let me do that while I'm talking to you guys. As you guys know, today, let me see, where is it at? There it is. We talked about this a little bit today, but tomorrow we are going to be talking about update 3.24. Oh my God, who's rating us? Somebody's rating us when we're getting ready to wrap up. Oh no. Meg, I just dropped your name. I think I must have just spoke you into existence. Thank you so much for sending over the double doggers. Thank you for sending over your community. Welcome everybody. Hope you guys had a great time with Yo-Yo Meg. We love Yo-Yo Meg. Meg. Hope you had a great stream. Let's see, Bit-Size Hobbit, thank you so much for that follow. We appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome to Soul Citizens. We were actually getting ready to wrap up, Meg, believe it or not. I was about to send everybody over to Paul, so I'm going to be transferring your crew just to let them know. As I mentioned earlier, oh, thank you. We also got someone else with a follow on us. We appreciate that. Oh God, Lord of the Drip, thank you for the 10 subs. Oh my God, thank you so much for that. Oh my God, that was such a great surprise at the end. We're approaching our 3,000 followers, and we are just short of it. We're 5 people short of following. So if you love Yo-Yo Meg, hopefully she's mentioned the Soul Citizens to you. Click on the follow. That might get us across our 3,000. We wanted to do it by the end of July, but we didn't make it. We're just 5 short. So we'd like you to consider following us. Anyway, tomorrow we're going to be on our main show, Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be talking about update 3.24. As I mentioned earlier, we guys know that came out on Thursday. People have been in there testing out things, trying out things. I've had a good time with it. I've run into a couple bugs, but nothing that has frustrated me dramatically. It has been kind of cool to see what's going on with the hangar thing. So we're going to be talking about that, not just the hangar stuff tomorrow, but we're going to be talking about 3.24 and its impact on the game. That's going to be really our big subject tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us tomorrow. Wow, we got another follower, 2,996. We are 4 people short of reaching our goal of 3,000 followers. So that's going to be tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us tomorrow to talk about that. And then as always, this day, let me turn this off. Where is it? The wrong promo. There we go. Today is Podset Saturday. This is the time where we partner with other Star Citizen community content creators, with Paul Shelley, with the Captain's Table, who's going to be starting in about 10 minutes. We're going to be sending you guys over to him, where he has other folks, content creators, and just people from the community who come on board and talk about the latest and the hottest subjects that are going on in the Star Citizen community. He'll probably be talking about 3.24 today, since that came out on Thursday like we did. So hopefully you guys will be able to stop over there and hang out with him for a little bit. Then later on this evening, the old G's of Star Citizen, Relay SC, they'll be on tonight, also talking about Star Citizen. So you guys get a whole evening and afternoon of nothing but Star Citizen conversations that you could just have on in the background and check out and listen to. So hopefully you guys will be able to come in for that. Other than that, I think that's about it. I want to give some shout outs again to Will C, to Panzer, Lord of the Drip, Sin Zeno, Rusty Pigeon. Wow, thank you so much. You guys are awesome for the subs. Thank you. Yo-Yo Meg, all the love for you sending your folks over to us. Thank you so much. Let's see, Bite-Sized Hobbit, thank you for the follow. Thank you for pushing us up another number. And let's see who else is. While I'm Kyle. Thank you for the follow as well. You guys are getting us closer and closer to that 3,000 mark, and we really, really appreciate it. To everybody who stopped in today and hung out with us, thank you guys so much for sharing your heart, your head, your thoughts about what's going on with the Star Citizen development in the community. And as always, we really appreciate you guys for being here. We are going to set up our raid for our good friend. Is he on? Is Paul on? FC, is he on? I don't see him. I don't know if he's on today. Let me see. Did Fastcar tell me who to raid? He may have. Oh, he did. Okay, so he must be on. I just don't see him on the list here for some crazy reason. We are about to send you guys over to Paul. Like I said, he's going to be starting his show up in a little bit within the next 9 minutes. He should be starting up the captain's table. And he is doing a road to CitizenCon is what he's going to be talking about today too. So when you guys get over there with Paul, let him know that you came over from the Soul Citizens. We really appreciate all the hard work that he's done over the years. So give him some love. That's what we want to tell you. And we're going to wrap things up. So as always, hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow for our show, Update 324, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Don't forget about Soul Talk on Thursday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern as well. And thanks for being here with us. And as always, peace, love, and soul. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Ciao.